Welcome back to day 2. I'm excited that you guys are all here. Again, I'm Mrs. Wozniak from Chimborazo Elementary School, and I'm just so excited to be able to infer with you guys this week using poetry. So we're going to get started right away. I'm going to share my screen. Again, you don't need anything except to focus on the screen in front of you. So let's go ahead and share. And so again, we're doing making inferences in poetry. And just to review, let's take a look at this anchor chart. When authors of books don't tell everything about characters and events, the readers have to use story clues and background knowledge to make an inference. So you have your text clues or in your schema, which is just what you already know to make that inference. So today we're going to think about that equation of taking our background knowledge and what's in the text to make the inference. So I really want you to think about putting those two things together and focusing on your inference that you make. So we're going to start with this video of these two guys. And as you watch it, I might pause it and have you think about some of the inferences that we are making.
Hey.
So if we pause it right here, we are making the inference that this guy, this character, he's thinking. And you can tell because the way that he is looking. So we know, our background knowledge is that we know that that's kind of like a thinking face. And the video or the text is showing us that thinking face. So they want us to infer that he's thinking. So his friend said, hey, hey. And he's like, So he's thinking of what he's going to do. So we're inferring that. No one told us. There was no voice that came on and said that he's thinking something. We just made that inference. So let's keep watching. So right here, you're making another inference because it seemed like they were playing a video game or some kind of game on the computer. And this guy right here, he cheered, right? The guy on the right, he was all excited. He said, yay! So we are inferring that he must have won the game or he's excited about something that came up on the computer.
Bye-bye. Yo. Bye.
So another inference that we're making from these characters, he's saying bye-bye. He's saying bye-bye because he won, right? And you can tell, you can infer by this guy's facial expressions that he's not very happy. So we can make another inference. We saw a character come up in the back and he was dressed kind of in a suit and a tie and he looked pretty angry, right? So if we put those things together with what we know about a workplace or work, I'm assuming that he is probably not going to be very happy.
Woo! Bye-bye.
So we can make an inference or draw the conclusion that that guy, the character that was left, he saw his boss coming or the guy in charge coming, and so he got right back to work, and the other guy actually got caught playing the game, so we could infer that he's probably going to get in trouble. So today we're going to take a look at 2 short poems. These are also like riddle poems. I put the titles back on because a lot of the times the titles help us figure out what the poem is about. So whenever we're reading a poem or a passage, we want to read it at least 2 times. The first time is just to get familiar with the words and the flow, and then the second time is to really understand. So this poem is called, and I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. It's called Up in the Air. Feeling tied down when I was born, I was little and perfectly flat. Now I am big, round, and puffy, or some might say I am fat. When I was born, I was free. Not a thing held me down. Now I am bound to a string which is bound to a clown. When I was born, I was sure that I'd float through the air, but that dream has just deflated and it's not just fair. When I was born, I was brave. Nothing hurt me at first. Now I am scared of pins. I am afraid I might burst. So now that we read it and we're familiar with the words in the poem, we're going to put on our inferring hat. And we're going to try to take what the author is saying in the text and put it with what we know and figure out what he's talking about. So let's take a look at this title. So Up in the Air. So we know that whatever this poem is about must be up in the air. So I'm already thinking of things that are up in the air. A plane, a balloon, a jet, a skydiver, a hot air balloon. So all of these things that are up in the air. So let's go ahead and read. Feeling tied down when I was born, I was little and perfectly flat. Now I am big, round, and puffy, or some might say I am fat. When I was born, I was free. Not a thing held me down. Now I am bound to a string, which is bound to a clown. When I was born, I was sure that I'd float through the air, but that dream has just deflated, and it's not just fair. When I was born, I was brave. Nothing hurt me at first. Now I am scared of pins. I am afraid I might burst. So let's take a look at some of these clues. So when I was born, I was free. Not a thing held me down. So he was free. Nothing was holding him down. But then it says, now I am bound to a string. So something up in the air that's bound to a string. So I'm using my background knowledge and this text to try to figure out what this author is talking about, which is bound to a clown. So he has a string bound to a clown. So now I'm thinking clowns up in the air, bound to a string. I'm thinking, are you thinking it's a balloon? Let's keep reading and see if our inferences can help us better agree that it's a balloon. So when I was born, I was sure that I'd float through the air. So balloons do float through the air, but that dream has just deflated and it's not just fair. So that word deflated right here, this makes me really think of a balloon because balloons do deflate, and I know that. So I'm taking my background knowledge of knowing that balloons deflate, and I'm taking what the text says and I'm putting them together to think, I'm inferring that this author is writing about a balloon. And then my very last clue that really just solidified that it was a balloon is right here. Now I am scared of pins. I am afraid I might burst. So if it's scared of pins, if it gets touched with a pin, it's going to burst. So we made all of these inferences to figure out that this author is talking about a balloon. So let's do one more together, okay? And I want you to really think about these inferences. So this one's called Down for the Count. It's hard to get too close to me because you break the rules, but you can knock me down real hard. I will spare you the details, and it hurts when I fall. I will say this, I hate that big, heavy, black ball. I have 9 friends around me, which is a great feeling, until that mean ball rolls at us and sends us all a reeling. I consider myself a stand-up guy, and my life is unfair. But despite all my trouble, I still laugh at those ugly shoes you wear. Huh. So this one's a little more tricky. So before we read it again, let's look at that title and try to infer what it could be about. So down for the count. That one's a little bit harder. So there's nothing obvious that's popping up in my head when I think down for the count. So I'm going to go ahead and read the rest and see if I can make some inferences as I read to help me figure out what that author's talking about. So it's hard to get too close to me because you break the rules. So obviously we can't get close to whatever this object is because it's against the rules. So I'm thinking it's some sort of game. So I'm inferring that this is some kind of game because there's rules. But you can knock me down real hard. So you can't get close to it, but it can knock you down. So you need to be thinking, so do I know any games in my background knowledge that I can't get close to it, but I have to knock it down real hard? I will spare you the details, and it hurts when I fall. I will say this, I hate that big, heavy, black ball. So now we're taking even more background knowledge of a big, heavy, black ball. So what game uses a big, heavy, black ball and knocks something down real hard? It has 9 friends, I have 9 friends around me, which is a great feeling, until that mean ball rolls at us and sends us all a reeling. So its friends are around it, and the ball comes at all of their friends, and it goes a reeling. So I'm inferring that when that ball comes a reeling, they're going everywhere. So again, taking that background knowledge of a game that I know that you throw a ball at it, and they go everywhere. So I consider myself a stand-up guy in my life and unfair. But despite all my trouble, I still laugh at those ugly shoes you wear. So in this game, you must wear certain shoes. So with all of this background knowledge that I have and what the text is saying, what do we think the author is talking about? You got it. A pin in bowling, right? Because it gets knocked down real hard. There's a big, heavy ball. It has 9 friends around them. And when you bowl, you wear those, I don't think they're ugly, but you wear those bowling shoes. Awesome. Oh, look, it's Bookie. Let's see what he has to say.
And you guys are really crushing this inferring thing. I'm proud. If you are really that smart, can you figure out my joke? What did the left eye say to the right eye? Between us, something smells. Get it? The nose?
Oh, that Bookie. He is so goofy. All right. So today, guys, we practiced, again, making inferences as we read poetry. So we were taking what we already know, and we were combining it with what the text was saying, putting it together to make those inferences. You guys are doing an awesome job, and I cannot wait to see you again tomorrow.